right, everyone, welcome to a very special edition of the Young Female Entrepreneurs live stream. This month we're doing guys as guests. So we literally have a guy on as a guest every Thursday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern here in the Oval Ice studio for the Young Female Entrepreneurs live stream. And today we are actually welcoming on a girl. So I'm really excited to get the feminine energy back in the studio. My name is Jennifer Dono. I'm the director of Young Female Entrepreneurs. Young Female Entrepreneurs is an online platform for entrepreneurial women in their 20s and 30s to connect, find new brands, other resources that'll help them grow their businesses. And this morning, we've got all sorts of time zones happening here in the live stream. This morning's, I'm just going to go with the Pacific. Sorry, I'm on the Pacific Coast. This morning's guest, Natalie of SuitcaseEntrepreneur.com. No exception. She's an amazing resource for women that are growing businesses, male, female entrepreneurs across the board. But she's been traveling for the last, 6 or so years. We're going to have to find out the details on that when we welcome Natalie on the show. But very quickly before I bring her on, I wanted to just talk about a couple things since this is a special Young Female Entrepreneurs live stream episode. You can find past episodes over on iTunes, on YouTube. We also have a couple other things going apart from the live stream. We have a Bootstrap book club, which I'm really excited to talk to Natalie about this because these girls were actually part of her We Mastermind program. So Natalie is seen as a big, big mentor to Christina and Jules of the Bootstrap book club. Now, this is a free club that you can join over on Facebook. And what they're talking about right now is The End of Men by Hannah Rosen. She was in our YFE chat that was hosted with CNN International. And they're posting questions and you answer them. It's totally free to join. You don't even have to read the book. Right now, if you join, the first question is about erotic capital. So if that doesn't spark your interest enough, I don't know what will. So you can go over to the Young Female Entrepreneurs Facebook page, which is facebook.com/youngfemaleentrepreneurs, and you can find out more about how to join that club and find out more about Christina and Jules. We're very thankful to have partnered with them on that initiative. And then, that's the Facebook page. We just got done with YFE chat. I want to thank Sandy once more. She did a fantastic job hosting that. And of course, the live stream continues on Thursday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, and our guest is Arel Moody. And this man, I was looking through his Twitter stream doing my research, and it's crazy. He's got hundreds of tweets saying what an inspiration. He changed people's lives. This guy just got done with the Impact 100 awards that happened at the White House. 100, I don't think it was including himself, but 100 entrepreneurs were in the room, people creating hundreds of jobs, and him and his founders, his partners, helped make that possible. So very cool guy. Make sure that you show up again on Thursday. So let's go ahead and get to Natalie. So Natalie, I'm really excited to catch up with her because I talked to her maybe once or twice last year over Skype. And this woman, like I said, has been traveling. She's living the dream, basically, right? This is stuff you always think about. One day I'm going to go and travel the world and I'm going to start my own business. Not only did Natalie start her own business, but she is actually traveling the world. So Natalie, welcome on to Young Female Entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're so welcome. It's lovely to be here.
So a couple of things about Natalie. Poor Natalie's video isn't coming up. So she's literally looking into just blackness. She doesn't know what she looks like. She's not seeing me right now. So thank you so much, Natalie, for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Just quickly on that Impact 100 that you were talking about, I actually got invited to be part of that and go to the White House, but I didn't qualify because I'm too old. Like, I'm not young enough. I'm not under 30. So I thought that was pretty funny when they approached me, and I was like, I'd love to, but do you realize how old I am? No, I'm just kidding. But it was very exciting to be asked, and I think it's such a great initiative.
It is. It really is. So congratulations on that. And crazy. So, but too old. I mean, really, the average age of an entrepreneur, let's just make sure we say, the average age is 40. And I just read a study recently that women really peak at becoming entrepreneurs in their 50s, mid-50s, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I think it's totally true, actually, because you come more into your power and you become more sure of yourself and more assertive. And all the years that you sort of put in, whether you're going to have kids or not, that becomes your formative years between 40 and 50. So I love looking at women in their 40s and 50s. They're super powerful and really great role models.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the people that you serve and what it is that Natalie actually does. So, Natalie, you have suitcaseentrepreneur.com, which is a very successful blog. You're syndicated on Forbes, on all sorts of different platforms where you write and you tell your story and give tips to entrepreneurs. But what exactly is it that you do and who do you serve apart from the blog?
I am very lucky to live out of my suitcase and travel anywhere in the world while running my business. So, as you said, living the dream. I think it's not for everybody, but I personally couldn't do without it. I adore that lifestyle. And for me, it's ultimately because it represents freedom to do what you want, when you want, where you want. In terms of my business and what it is, it's kind of evolved organically, but essentially I have around three main revenue streams. So I do business design coaching, one-on-one coaching, always virtual, with clients around the world who I think are amazing, all sorts of different businesses and ideas that they have. And I help them to get really specific on what their business model is, what they're doing, how they can gain more media, how they can brand themselves, how they can build their online business essentially with tools, social media, outsourcing. So that's really fun. Outside of that, I have digital products and programs that I sell on my blog, and they're always aimed at the person who's wanting to build an online business and travel. So Build Your Online Business is one of my most popular books. I have an entrepreneur's toolkit where I talk about the top tools that you need to streamline your business and save you time and money. And I have a sculpted social media program and social media club, which is really fun. So those are kind of, some are recurring revenue and some are just straight off products that you can buy and download instantly. And then the third way is actually through recommending products and programs that I use. So I use a lot of different tools for my business. I love learning from other people. And so if I find that that book, program, or product is particularly useful for my community, then I will recommend it. And as a result, I often get commission through affiliate marketing. So I like to think of it as trust relationships, because you build up that trust with your community. And I wouldn't ever recommend anything that I didn't love. So that's also a useful form of revenue for my business. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That's just so, there's so many different ways that you're serving the entrepreneurial community. So make sure everyone that's watching, you check it out if you haven't already. One of the reasons why I was excited to bring Natalie on is just because I did join the Bootstrap Book Club. And it's crazy to see how many of those women that are in that program specifically that have gone through one of your programs, whether it was We Mastermind or it was the program that you have now, which is the $100 change, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But so, yeah, it's a fantastic resource for women. But let's talk a little bit about the travel before we get on to $100 change, because that is something that, like I said, everyone wants to know about. And you said it's not for everyone. You're in Amsterdam right now. Why?
I am in Amsterdam. It's very cold here, God damn it. Like, yeah, and I don't have any winter clothes because I've been traveling from sort of summer to summer. So unfortunately, I need to go out and do a little bit of a shop, which heavies the load of my suitcase. Yeah, the travel, as I said, it isn't for everybody because I'm pretty sure most people don't think traveling out of a suitcase is glamorous. But as I said before, I think it represents what they're after, which is, you know, freedom to live anywhere should you choose, or run your business from anywhere. So people always ask me, if you just want me to go through this, like, where do you choose to go next, and how do you pick your destinations, and how does that work for you? And I'd love to say I have a strategy, but I really don't. I'm driven by conferences and meetups that I would love to attend, friends or new people that I would love to meet who happen to be in a city maybe, or a country I haven't been to, and most importantly, ultimate frisbee, which is the sport that I love to play. And there's almost a tournament every single weekend around the world. So I always try to tie those things in, and I can play a bit of my sport, I can go to some meetings or conferences, and I can meet some amazing people in new cities or destinations that I haven't been to.
So one of the reasons why I love following you is because you do have interests outside of building a business, making money, making connections, networking. And like you mentioned, Ultimate Frisbee, I saw on your website, there's a picture of Natalie. If you haven't checked it out yet, you have to. You're posing, you're doing the bodybuilding.
Body sculpting.
Yeah, body sculpting. Crazy. I mean, I just
don't look like that anymore.
I think that's fantastic. Now, okay, let's say that, because this is the position I'm in right now, actually, is that building a business really is a 24/7 thing. Like you said, a lot of your travel does revolve around meeting people, building your businesses, helping others. how is it that you decided, how did you come upon ultimate frisbee? I want to have a hobby. I want to do things outside of business. How do I find that? Sounds really lame, but how did you
Do
come
you know
upon
what?
ultimate frisbee?
I absolutely think that ultimate frisbee or any club, group, or sport that you're involved in is the absolute ultimate way to travel around the world. And I'll say that for a reason because I have an instant community and network of friends wherever I go, thanks to ultimate frisbee. Now, it's a pretty unique sport. If you haven't heard of it, it's a bit like soccer, a bit like football, and a bit like netball. And those are all sports that I've played. But essentially, it's a really free-spirited community of people who love to get together to play this sport. It's high impact, it's high intensity. You have to be really, really fit to play it, despite what people think that it's sitting on a beach with a disc or smoking joints somewhere. But how did I get into it? Was actually through friends when I was back in New Zealand. I was playing lots of sports, and a lot of my friends said, you should come and play this game. You'd be really good at it because you've already got the foundational skills. And I went along to watch a game, and it's very similar to kind of like tennis movements, football movements. And I just really like the fact, and this was the key for me, there were no referees. It's a self-refereed game. It's based on the spirit and sportsmanship. And having come from a background where people were blowing the whistles at you all the time and telling you what not to do, which really doesn't go down well with me, I really loved that Ultimate was very much self-refereed. So if you think you've contacted somebody or fouled them, then you need to say that and you need to talk it out. And I really think that ultimately is actually how business should be done as well. You know, it's a conversation. It's talking about the options available to you. It's discussing strategies. It's thinking about your positioning. It's communicating clearly with people. So I think in so many ways, Ultimate, I love it. It's a big party sport as well. You know, they party hard, they play hard, but it's also really relevant to business skills. So
Yeah.
as I said, I can go anywhere in the world and pretty much pick up with a team because I'm at that level now where I can play on any team and meet new friends instantly. And I think that's invaluable if you want to travel the world and just for meeting those new people and making connections.
All right, since we're on the topic of travel, and by the way, if you're just coming on right now, we're doing a live stream with Natalie of Suitcase Entrepreneur, and I am on the chat. If you have questions for Natalie, I'd be happy to relay them over. Otherwise, I have probably 30 or so questions I want to get in. But anyway, so Natalie, let's talk about since we're on the topic of travel, dating. Do you date? How can you have a regular lifestyle when you're kind of nomadic almost?
Oh my God, I feel like I'm on the Ricky Lake show.
I know, I
So
know.
I am single, yes, and that definitely makes it easier to be able to travel the world. I don't have any dependents, I don't have mortgages, I have investments, but so I think that makes it a lot easier. In terms of what I was just talking about, Ultimate Frisbee is a great sport for being able to connect with people. There's lots of hot guys, which is good. And so for me, I think I kind of have a series of what I like to call love affairs or romances on the road. And I think if anybody who's listening going, what the heck? If you've never traveled before, if you haven't done long-term traveling, there's something about travel that brings people together a lot more quickly than normal because often you're only in a place for a certain amount of time. And so it enhances your kind of aspect to get to know that person more quickly. Often when you're traveling, you're kind of like kindred spirits. So I think that's the reason why you'll find a lot of travelers will have hookups or connections on the road that are like in the moment. And I think that's really wonderful. For where I am at right now, that works perfectly well for me. If I was to develop a long-term relationship, for sure, it'd be more difficult traveling all the time because when you meet people, they're like, oh, well, so you're leaving in 4 days. Or, oh, well, when I see you again, well, maybe I'll be back there in 3 months or 6 months or a year. So it's definitely something you need to consider when you're on the road. I really love being single and having my freedom, but it probably won't be like that for a long time. And I'm lucky that I meet lots of cool people and I feel surrounded by friends and family and people who love me and are in my life. So that's kind of that's as much as I'm going to say about dating on the road. It's entirely up to you how free spirited you want to be with it and who you want to meet. But I think there's a lot more opportunities to meet people just because you're traveling.
Oh, it's interesting. Now, all right, so I feel like we talked the travel topic enough. Hopefully people, if you have additional questions on travel, make sure that you type them in and I'll relay them over to Natalie. But as far as the business side goes, I found Natalie a couple of years ago, I guess, through Allie Brown, of all people. And I know a lot of you, I've asked who your mentors are over Twitter chats and on Facebook, and a number of you have listed Allie Brown as the top mentor person that you look up to. So, Natalie, how did you get connected with her?
I always say to people, just I about a business who I admired, who I thought had, built something really, really worthy. And I just asked, I think I had, I was on Facebook, I was on Twitter, I was receiving your email. I think one day I just kind of like replied to one and actually got a response and then said, well, I'd love to interview you and have you on my blog. And was lucky enough and fortunate enough that she said, yep, let's do it. So often it's just in the moment, taking that opportunity and catching people at the right time. As you know, Ali's often launching pretty major things, and she's a smart, savvy PR person. So if she can get an interview in that introduces her to more people, she's much more likely to do that at times when she's launching. So that's something to keep in mind with most people. They have built themselves on their brand and they need a promotional outlet for it, and they're always looking for new audiences and people to get in front of. But yeah, it was just, once again, I call it luck, preparation meeting opportunity. I was prepared and I had the opportunity, so I got lucky.
All right, let's talk more about opportunity and being prepared. Natalie McNeil, she is amazing, and you can call her partner. How did that happen?
Yeah, I had to pay her a lot of money. No, I'm kidding. Once again, actually, I wanted to interview her for my video series that I was doing at the time, and so I reached out to her. I found her through Twitter, I think, and other things. And I was like, hey, this girl's got an awesome name and she wants to take on the world, which is exactly what I want to do. I think we're meant to be. So I managed to get her on Skype. And I always tell the story because Natalie knows. In the very first meeting that we had, I wasn't actually super blown away. She was kind of really busy and a little offhand. And I was like, oh, this isn't the Natalie that I know and love through her blog. And it just so happens that she was surrounded by men in her open plan office, and she didn't want to be like talking about women empowerment in front of them because they often gave her a hard time. So the next time we talked, it was fantastic. And once again, she was at this point where she really wanted to branch out and do joint ventures, which she had never done. And I was at this point where I was like, I've run my business for a while by myself. I would love to work with somebody with a like mind. And so I think it was just a really great meeting of minds. And she's an awesome business partner, like couldn't ask for better. We just get on so well. We have complementary skill sets and we challenge each other in good ways. But yeah, it's fantastic working with her. She's like a firecracker at such a young age as well.
So how did the actual partnership form then? Was it something that you said, hey, Natalie, so our first meeting wasn't so great, but I want to partner with you? Who was it that instigated it specifically?
Yeah, I think it was when I rang her back to do the interview again or to talk further. I think I just kept in touch and gave her another chance. And she jumped on the email and said, let's talk again. And we just got chatting about our respective businesses and where we were at. And I said, well, I've been wanting to launch something for a while that reaches more women, has a bigger impact, more emphasis. And she's like, that's exactly what I want to do. And she'd had an idea in her mind and I'd had an idea. So we just basically put them right out there on the line and came up with Women Entrepreneurs Mastermind. And then we just said, well, let's do it. We put together a really basic agreement, terms of agreement contract. You and me are in this together, 50-50. Here's what, if something goes wrong, here's what we do. If it doesn't, here's where we want to go. And then we're both big people not big people. We both have a big vision. And so I think we got that down on paper, and then we just formulated what this program would look like, what the end result was, who we wanted to help, who we wanted to serve, and what we wanted to see, which was ultimately more women entrepreneurs profiting. So it was a very organic thing that just came through a lot of Skype chats. We didn't actually get to meet until a year later in New York City. And then we hung out for an entire week doing all our videos for We Mastermind
awesome.
In LA.
Awesome. Now, I see a lot of, and by the way, Callie Min, at Callie Min on Twitter, I see your question, and I'm going to ask Natalie in just a second. But as far as the partnerships go, I mean, we see this with Jules and Christina, who took your We Mastermind. A lot of young women are partnering together, leveraging one another's audience skills. Is that something that you teach in We Mastermind, or in am I saying it right? Women Entrepreneur Mastermind?
Yeah.
Okay.
We Mastermind.
Is this something that you teach in that program?
It is part of it in that we talk about joint ventures and affiliates, because at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do by yourself, right? And the minute you combine with somebody else or even several people, your ability to reach other people, but also your momentum, energy, and skill set just triples and actually explodes. So there's only, as I said, it's fun having your own business, but I think the minute it really starts to grow is when you start networking and collaborating with other people, smart people. And there's no reason why you can't have one partner that you do this with and another partner that you do that with. Yeah. It just gives you double that momentum, as I said. It allows you to brainstorm with them, bounce ideas off them. When you're on a bit of a low, they can bring you on a high, and vice versa. You get twice the amount of work done because there's two of you there. It separates the workload as well. So there's two people handling it. And, it's been a godsend sometimes. So I've been traveling. For example, we held a mastermind coaching call and I was in Portugal and I just could not get internet connection no matter how much I had planned in advance. It was terrible. And so Natalie had to run that whole call by herself. Now, if I'd been running this program by myself, that would have looked terrible. So there's been times when she also got stuck in Italy and couldn't do it. So I ran it by myself. And those are the things where you really realize partnerships come into it. I just think it's just such a brilliant move for your business when you're at that level where you feel you want to step up and branch out.
Well, that makes sense. Now, all right, so Callie, before we get into the talking about 100 change, Callie asked, first of all, she said, Natalie, I love that you are authentic and it shows by your answer on dating. Can you speak about how important it is to be authentic and how being authentic may have helped you in your business? That's a good question.
It's a great question. Thanks, Kelly. I don't usually get asked about dating, so I guess I was just straight up honest. I can only be honest and authentic. I can never lie to people. If I think you look fat in that dress, I'm probably going to tell you, which is just a silly example, really. But I think it's super important to be yourself. We spend too much time looking at all these other people, especially in the online world, magazines, celebrities, and trying to be them rather than being our best self. So it takes a bit of learning. And it also takes some doing to just let yourself be who you are. So I would say never censor yourself at all. Always try to be your best self and let it out there. Like, be controversial, say what you want to say, have an opinion, shake things up a bit, and really like let your personality come out. Because at the end of the day, that's what people are going to fall in love with. They'll either like you or they won't. But the point is, you'll attract this tribe of people who love what you do and resonate with what you do. And that, at the end of the day, is worth much more than having a whole bunch of people who aren't really interested because you're trying to be somebody else. So there's only one way to go, and that's being really real, really down to earth, I think, and being super authentic in everything that you do and genuine.
So speaking about authenticity, you went to WDS, the World Domination Summit, and
Yes.
it seems like it had quite the effect on you because right now you've basically turned everything, and I could be wrong in saying this, but it seems like the experience has kind of created this almost new little direction or platform that you're taking on. Can you tell us a little bit about what WDS was for you and what you've done with it, basically what you've learned, what you've
It's a
taken,
good
what you
point.
learned from?
Think, yeah, it probably has sparked it's basically sparked to me this whole meaning to do more and impact more people. So at the World Domination Summit, for those that don't know, Chris Guillebeau gave every single attendee $100 back at the end of it. So he gave us all $100 change. And there were 1,000 people there. So he gave away $100,000 in 7 minutes. And that kind of blew my mind. He didn't have to. He'd made a profit. He was like, here, I don't need this profit, but I want you to take the $100 and I want you to have fun with it, surprise somebody, or start something special. And the minute he said that, I was like, I've just got to start something special with it. I don't know. And I was like, well, how can I turn that $100 potentially into 1,000 or 10,000 or even back into 100,000 and do justice to Chris's amazingly generous act? And I thought, well, what are people going to do with their 100 and how could they spend it to get the maximum impact? So this is where this crazy idea came into my head as he was still speaking. And it was the $100 change program, which is essentially an initiative designed to get you to take action. It's based for $100 change. You get 100 days of inspiration and daily prompts from 100 change makers like Danielle Laporte, Jonathan Fields, Chris Guillebeau himself, Pam Slim, Chris Brogan, Michael Port, like huge names, and also some other up-and-coming names, including Natalie McNeil, and use their daily prompts and their inspiration and advice and wisdom to actually start something special. But the flip side of it, the really cool twist to it is you put in that $100, but essentially you could get that back 10 times because it's a completely non-profit initiative. All the money that goes in gets pulled into 10 scholarships for people who want to start a project, an idea, or a business. So late November, people are going to be able to apply for a scholarship, which is really exciting. And then the people who win those scholarships get 100 days to like bring that to reality. And the projects or the businesses that they get to start should hopefully have an impact on hundreds more people. So it's kind of like this beautiful circle of creating change, empowering and inspiring other entrepreneurs to start on that dream or that project that they've always had.
No, I think I think that's amazing. I know I was looking through this and it's, I mean, it's full of prompts. We were talking at the beginning of the show about doing and getting started and just going for it. And you talked about being authentic and being yourself, but a lot of people, they stop at the actual part of doing. And so this whole program, I mean, when you look through it, it really is built to get you started on your dreams. And I think that's fantastic. Now, as far as it goes, you said we were talking earlier before the show and it's already starting right now. So if I'm watching the show, and I'm interested in starting something and getting involved in your program, can I sign up for it today?
You can start, exactly. You can start right now. And that's the point of it. It's set up to go the minute you start. And that is the idea, that people take action and they get rewarded and they start receiving these daily prompts. There's also videos, there's a couple of audios in there. But generally it's like short written wisdom that inspires you to take action on a daily basis. And it's fun, it's challenging, it's like inspiring, as I said. There's some really great nuggets and some really excellent questions that I asked the change makers and amazing answers that they've given back. So I'm always pouring through the answers, trying to pull out the best ones and how they're going to help you in a sort of a structured approach over 100 days. And yeah, it's wonderful. And there's also a Facebook group that you become part of. And the energy in that Facebook group is off the Richter scale. Like, people are sharing all the things that they've been doing, but insights, and I absolutely love it. Like, I had no idea it would become like that. And there's such a supportive community and just some really amazing people in there doing, from very small steps that they're taking through to big visions that they've always had. And it feels like $100 change is giving them that platform to step up and do it. So yeah, people can start today.
I love that. Now, Natalie, we have Josie in NYC on the chat, and she's asking about, she's an Aussie in New York, and she wants to travel and work. And how do you get the ideas and confidence to make the leap? Now, we're talking about $100 change. Would this be a program that would help her do that? How specifically did you decide that this is going to actually give you the motivation to get started, to make that change?
Yeah, so she's wanting to travel more and take that leap. I think $100 change is definitely a fantastic start. Like, it's designed for people who have always had a dream or a project or an initiative or something that they've wanted to start. It's designed to get you to start, and not only to start, but then to keep going and have that momentum. So the daily prompts are a part of that, but there's also 3 live webinars where I'm bringing the change makers on board to answer your questions. So that's kind of your time to go, look, I'm struggling with this, or I have this idea, or how should I fine-tune that? And that's when you get like direct access and mentoring from them. Essentially, it is this kind of program of change, but at the same time, mentoring, accountability, and support. And if I look at anybody who's been successful in their life, that's what they've always had.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, Natalie, it's getting close to time. I wanted to make sure that everyone knows where to find the change makers, and how to sign up for the program, and where we can find you online.
Cool. I think the easiest way is to go to suitcaseentrepreneur.com/change. You'll find all the details there, and you click to get started today. I would love for you to join in. We're actually having one of the first live webinars next week. And suitcaseentrepreneur.com is where I'm hanging out. You can find my links to Facebook and Twitter and Google+. And actually, for whoever was in New York City, I'm starting with my first video series tomorrow, and it's based in New York City. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Wow.
So yeah, I'd love for people to come and hang out and say hello on Facebook and Twitter and on my website.
All right. And Natalie, we have a couple other questions that are going through the chat. And again, just to tell everyone that's watching, since we're not going to get to their questions, what is your Twitter handle? One more time.
It is at Suitcasepreneur. So Suitcase and then Preneur. And I will answer any questions on Twitter. I'm about to go off and do a webinar myself. So once I'm done with that, I'll jump on and answer any questions. And you can also pop them on facebook.com/Suitcase Entrepreneur if you want. I'm happy to answer any questions there.
Awesome. Natalie, thank you so much for being on the show. You're a fantastic role model for young women, and it's just so much fun to follow you on Facebook and Twitter and see where your travels are taking you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome, and I love the questions.
Oh, thank you. All right, so you've been watching the Young Female Entrepreneurs live stream. It happens every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern here in the Oval Eye studio. On Thursday, again, our guest is Arel Moody. I'm very, very excited to be talking to him on Thursday. I think he's going to have a lot of fantastic resources and tips, advice, that type of a thing that young women don't usually get because we're focused on learning from our peers. So again, see you back next Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. Make sure that you check out $100 Change. Such a cool program, such a cool idea too. I mean, I can't believe she was just sitting in the conference and she's like, oh, let's do this. And then she did it. So obviously this is someone you're going to want to learn from. All right, everyone, thank you so much and have a fantastic day.